Hello everybody, welcome to our webinar where we explain NaWas anti-DDoS services. We are very happy with the big number of people joining us today. And if you have questions, well, you can, during the webinar, you can put them in the chat. We will try to answer them at the end of the webinar, or otherwise we send them by email. The goal of this webinar is to give you an overview of the NaWas services, to show you what's happening in this specific time period, and to explain how NaWas can protect you in the best way. I'm Frank, and responsible for expanding NaWas into Europe. And with me is Octavia de Weert. She is Managing Director of NBIP NaWas. And maybe, Octavia, you can give a short introduction of yourself.
Of course, Frank, thanks. Hello, everybody. Really nice to meet you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for joining us in such a large numbers. I'm Octavia de Weert. I'm the General Director of NBIP. NBIP it's a short name for a long description of our organization. I'm very proud to say a little bit about that. What we're doing with our non-profit foundation, which started almost 20 years ago already, from the initiative of the internet sector and the internet providers looking for a joint way of solving the problems they were meeting. You could see about the other services which we have on our website. Please go to nbip.nl, which is available in various languages. And one of our biggest projects started in 2014, when we've seen a huge increase of DDoS attacks in the Netherlands and I think in whole Europe. And the providers realized that they jointly had a big problem. And then, of course, they thought, well, we could solve this together. Together we are stronger. And I think there was never been a more relevant time for this. Together we are stronger than the days we're living today. Together with Frank, we will show you how relevant our services are even today, how they've always been relevant, and a kind of the trends we're seeing in the coming months and what we're doing.
Okay, thank you. So, well, we live in different times since March last year. Well, I no need to explain this. And we see enormous rise in the use of internet traffic. So maybe you can explain what do NaWas and NBIP see on the traffic during, well, the last quarter on DDoS attacks. Maybe you can explain a little what happened last quarter.
Yes. First of all, I want to tell you, because we are a non-profit organization, we have always been very keen and transparent in communicating about what we're seeing. Sharing our knowledge is one of one of the big pillars we're using, or we're living on. We do that on a non-for-profit basis. We have shared this for the past 3 years in a row. We are publicizing our reporting about the DDoS attacks, and the year report 2019 will be is ready. It will be available next week. But I think we thought it would be a good idea, because we're living in a different time now, to keep you up to date with the things we're seeing right now. So we updated those numbers for this webinar, especially with a thanks for our team who worked hard for that, because we wanted to see. We got this question all the time: do we see an increase in attacks the first quarter and this past month? Because there has been a lot of publicity about increase of cyber attacks overall in the past month. I don't know, do we have the numbers there? I think so. Well, overall, what we see the first quarter, and I can't make it better than it is, we did see an increase in more attacks in the first quarter of this year compared to the year before. Furthermore, we see an increasing, let me tell you something. We don't have a profit profile, so we're really transparent about what we see. We will never see, with all these years, we've never went into the the trend of all the attacks are getting bigger and bigger and more. I think that was the general trend what we have been seeing in other reports. But we do see, and we always said, well, let's just be fair about it. It wasn't that bad. Remember, Frank, people was asking, do you see a lot of attacks? And we said, well, we don't see so much increase. So we were a bit of a conservative size always on our numbers until now. But what we're seeing now that we do see an increase in the size of attacks, which is quite unusual for compared with the years before. So we do see that it's coming to an to an increase overall in the traffic, in the numbers and the size of attacks we're seeing. Is it related to the crisis we're living in? Well, I think we will need more numbers during the coming months to be able to respond to that. But you could think that the big increase of general increase of internet traffic has to do with that. Also, what we see, but that it's really not different than the years before, is that the complexity of attacks is getting bigger and bigger. That's something that we've been reporting about the years before as well. It's not only about setting up a device and then you'll be safe. It's about increasing your knowledge as well in what to do when you see a complex attack. And that's what we are all about, because we are really specialized in DDoS mitigation. That's what we do. That's the way we're living. So this is one, if I was saying, one of the main reasons why I was saying, take that mitigation step and bring it to the specialists, to the people who do that. It's not something that you could just do, while we're doing something else. Another thing we did see increasing, which is a new thing this last month, is the blackmailing emails and even WhatsApp messages, pay so many bitcoins, otherwise you'll get you'll get a DDoS. Which unfortunately I have to say, we were used to this kind of blackmail emails from last years. We're hearing a lot about blackmailing, about ransomware blackmailing, and it was quiet last year, but it started again, and we did see an increase in emails and WhatsApp messages. Which unfortunately we have to say, until now we thought, well, we'll just let it be. But now those attacks are coming, actually. We're seeing them happening. So the people who actually get an email and are being blackmailed or threatened, they are being DDoS, or they're being attacked. That's the situation at this moment. Well, the good news is, guys, our standpoint on that is, good news is you never have to pay if you get one of those emails. I'm not talking about ransomware. I'm not talking about your files being locked, which it's a total different area. But I'm talking about if you get an email, you'll be DDoSed, pay, or you'll get a DDoS. Our standpoint is don't pay, because there is a solution. There are solutions to protect yourselves against. So what we're doing, also working, and we're trying to gather this intelligence about what is happening. So what we're asking our members, but also non-members, if you get one of these emails or WhatsApps, you can email us. Please let us know. We're trying to discover a pattern in what's happening. And if you really think you're in danger or something is going to happen, call us, because we're able to mitigate within hours' time. So that's the good news in this time we're living in.
Actually, it happened last week that 2 new members were connected in 2 hours, and their internet was up again. So we can do that. Okay. Yeah. So we have a lot of new guys outside the Netherlands joining the NBIP NaWas services. Can you explain to them how we differ from other offerings? Because you already explained we are a non-profit, community-based structure. But how do we differ from different other offerings because, well, there are a lot of cloud services, a lot of cloud services around.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think, of course, there are some differences. There are also some things we don't do differently.
Let's keep the distance.
But yeah, just give.
Sorry, we have to do the social distancing as well.
But well, first of all, I always talked about us, about being a non-profit, about being really a community-based service. In the meantime, being always on top of the technology, which sometimes it seems a bit of a contradiction. People are not used to that. What I can say is we're investing all the time in keeping up the knowledge, the technology, everything we're using on top of the build scrubbing center, which we could build up because we know a lot about what we need to do. I think one of the main things is if you join us, you actually join it for yourself. You're keeping your part of the internet safe, but in the meanwhile, you're part of the bigger picture. As you might know, you're part of that piece of internet which you own or manage, and that part, once everybody starts joining, it will get into you keep each other safe. It's like basic hygiene, we say. This is something that to keep your traffic clean. Also, what I'm thinking of, Frank, is that, of course, we could talk about BGP routing, which we're not unique in doing, but that's the way we do. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But also, we are very actively contributing to the community by sharing our knowledge, by doing everything we can to get smarter in what we're doing. We're actually set up together with a lot of parties in the Netherlands, even anti-DDoS coalition, in which we are actively trying to join this knowledge together and develop into, we're talking about a clearinghouse, setting up a clearinghouse in which we can safely change info about the DDoS attacks. So that's a big win. And we're always we're active campaigning for you guys to join us, especially from Europe, because then it will increase this knowledge exponentially. It will get a lot of value into the knowledge we're sharing with each other.
So what do we give back to the new members into Europe on knowledge? How does it work?
Well, first of all, we are of course reinvesting into this project. This is one of the bigger projects we're working on. If you look on the website, we'll send you with the notes also the website of the coalition. It's very interesting because it's actually being promoted in Italy as well, with during the Concordia project, isn't it?
Concordia,
in Italy. So I'm really working actively with universities to give back that knowledge and to come into actually, we know our ultimate goal is, of course, that we won't have to mitigate anymore, which is a bit weird because, well, we are living by it at this moment. But, and people say, well, if there will be no more attacks, you don't have to mitigate anything. I'll say, well, I'll be glad, because that's why we're here, for a clean internet. And I also think we are we're really the linking pin in getting this information out there and being active in making it work. That means that information, even like working to this clearinghouse project, is very important, because then we're working into like making like fingerprinting, you know, and then you're getting more the not only on the back side of the mitigation, but more of the preventive side. What can we recognize what is happening ahead time while it's happening? So we're making huge steps into this, I think, and really glad that we can be part of that. And everybody who is contributing to the NaWas is contributing implicitly to this project. That's yeah.
Okay.
So, well, that brings us to, first of all, the questions. This was actually a huge success in the Netherlands. So we thought, what's the next step? And I think I always said that what's the next step would be, we're not living only in, we're living in Europe. we're part of a bigger internet, and internet doesn't stop at the countryside. So that's when we came out with this plan. Let's bring this into Europe. Let's join. Let's make everybody from Europe and the Europe Connections join this project. That's how Frank came, and you started the program of promoting our services into Europe. So tell us about it, about the current status, what you're doing at. You will be very busy, and you're very enthusiastic about our product and about our services. So tell us about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, it's very nice to build on the success was built in the Netherlands by just 7 or 8 providers who started the project, and today we have around more than 100 members in the Netherlands. So it's a good challenge to give the message into other countries in Europe. And actually, we focused on 3 or 4 countries in Europe. Right now, all companies outside the Netherlands with their own AS number and connected to AMS6, NLX, or DC Spine, they can join NaWas without any delay. Our strategy is to connect to local internet exchanges and to be part of their marketplaces, and so connect to their community. And this is actually happening in 2 countries already. We started to connect to links in London and in England, and signed the first members days after. So the demand in UK is really there. I don't have actually no numbers on actual attacks, DDoS attacks in UK. But well, the enthusiasm, the new members joined us is pretty clear. So also connecting to partners as Epsilon and Megaport are possible in UK. So we are talking to 10 or 15 possible members in UK, finding out how to do the best connection. It's actually happening right now. Second country we are focusing on is Italy, because a lot is happening on DDoS attacks, and it's really damaging the connection and the services of many small ISPs and big ISPs as well. So our way into Italy has gone to ITGate. ITGate is the partner for the transfer, the traffic transfer. And we are connected to all local internet exchanges in Milan, Turin, and Rome, right? Like TopAX, Mix, and Damex. Actually, right after this WebEx, we have immediately also a WebEx with the guys from Mix to explain what we are doing to help them. So in Italy, we see since 2019 an enormous rise in DDoS attacks, and we are ready to help all the companies owning AS numbers and ISPs in Italy. So all Italian companies can join without any delay. And in Austria, we have a testing project, a trial project running with Fix in Vienna, with Fix Aconet, this is the university network. And we are ready to connect first members there as well after the trial. And in Denmark and Nordics, we already are available through NLX. So we had some events in Denmark who were canceled the moment I was there, and then we went viral. This was the moment for me, Corona period started. But we still have good talks with some Danish ISPs who doing trial with us there as well. And shortly we'll be available in East European countries like Bulgaria, Hungary, Serbia, Croatia, and even more through Netix and their partner NetData. And we plan to have our services available in Spain and Germany as well, as soon as we can justify our business case there. So a lot is happening in a short time in Europe.
Well, good to hear, Frank, of course, but we didn't have to, we already knew that, internet is going on. I mean, all this business, despite of what it's happening to us, internet is keeping us alive. I think you've been working for more than half a year now with us, and I think we tried to, with Frank together, we tried to put a list of relevant questions. What kind of questions do you get from the ISPs during this time? And I think these questions will answer a lot of what we've already got beforehand. We got one question in between from someone from the public, which I will answer at the end because it's not about this, but that's a good question. So let's start with this. What kind of what was the most relevant questions you're getting, Frank?
Yeah, of course. This seminar is meant like a general introduction as to services and not meant as a deep technical dive. But in this business, we need to talk technical stuff as well. Otherwise, it's about techniques and internet. But we plan to do another webinar in a few weeks based on technical questions and how to connect as well. But I made a list of 10 questions most prospect members ask in the first contact. And one of them is, of course, okay, what is the maximum scrubbing capacity of your data centers? And then I always said, okay, guys, it's not about the real number of how many terabytes we can do, but it's about the connections and how many and how wide the connections are, how big the connections are. We connect to our members to efficiently work the attack. That's the answer. And of course, NaWas is among the largest scrubbing centers in Europe. And then, well, I think you know enough. Other question who always comes up is your services always on or on demand? And NaWas is on-demand service. So after detection of an attack, the traffic is redirected to the NaWas servers. So as an on-demand service, NaWas has the big advantage. You do not need to keep open large and expensive connections. We are going to 10G, sometimes 100G these days. And if you are connected to some cloud services, well, you need to have those connections open for possible for mitigation of attacks. It's no need because we are on demand and you can keep these expensive connections for other goals. Well, in the same line, well, is the scrubbing center built in a redundant way?
I think that's very relevant, Frank, because as I said, you know, like internet is keeping us alive. You want to make sure that because we are we're a mitigation center, so we're saying we're actually working into continuing your business while you are under attack. So I think that's a relevant question. How do we keep that continuity during an attack for so many members at the same time?
Yeah, well, the structure, the decision was made to have the structure. Yes, we are redundant. NaWas has 2 different scrubbing centers in 2 different data centers, and they are based in Netherlands. Maybe in future, we have this internal discussions going on that if in some countries the business case is strong enough and still, well, because of our non-profit, we have to make the money from our members to do investments. But we are talking to also start a scrubbing center in different countries. But this is for the long term. But we are prepared technically and commercially. To
the architecture is based on the distributed model, which will take step by step. But right now we're redundant anyway. So whatever is happening, your continuity is guaranteed while you are under attack.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Yeah. And other question who most of the time comes up, hey guys, how many DDoS mitigation devices NaWas is built on? Because, well, we cannot share that much about it, but we use a multi-vendor setup with multiple A-brand devices in line. So they are not in parallel, but are in line. And it's like a real car wash where you put your car in, there are multiple devices to clean the car. The first one is, well, the rough garbage, and then the fine one in the end, well, the small scent is pushed off, and then well, the shiny stuff is coming out.
I'm sorry, Frank, I can't be that enthusiastic about a car wash. I can see that you love your car. But it's good, maybe just to say, that's an anecdote, because I hadn't realized we didn't say what's the name, what's in the name NaWas. In the Netherlands, it says it's a Nationale Wasstraat, which is actually the national car wash. Washing street of the attacks, which is that's where NaWas comes for. Is your your anecdote is nice about the washing street. That is how it actually works.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then we polish it at the end.
Yeah. Well, in the end, it's much more complex than the car wash, of course, because to put multiple devices in line, who is doing what, in the end, it's like, I just took the word in English, the trechter, where
Funnel.
the funnel, where we go from volume to more intelligent cleaning stuff. So we change and develop the equipment to our best efforts because, the vendors develop new techniques and new software upgrades are then every quarter, etc. Of course, we want to offer the best available mitigation at our effort. Then a question, because mitigation is one part of the solution, detection is the other one. And detection can be done manually or automated by different tools. If it's not automated, you depend on people, normally working during day hours. And because of the time difference between attacker zone and you, we see a lot of attacks coming in during the night. Because from US and Asian countries, because of the time difference. Therefore, our advice is to use an automated structure. And NaWas has a good integration and experience with several tools like FastNetMon or Flowmon Networks, DDoS Defender. And with the last vendor, we now run a pilot to offer integrated detection and mitigation solution supported by NaWas and invoiced on 1 monthly amount. I think we talk a little later about this because this is interesting news. On the money as well, always the question, okay, what is your pricing structure? Because we say we are non-profit, so how does it work to have a fair pricing model? And many ISPs have to pay the fee on their own, and the customers are sometimes not willing to pay for it. So how is that done? So the pricing model we have is based on the number of prefixes you want to protect. And if you have more prefixes, you pay a little more. But it's not on the traffic, it's not on the instances of the attacks. So I think it's a very fair way to get our costs paid. And still the membership costs are very economical compared to other offerings out there. And a question always comes up on the technical side is how to figure a redirect. So if detection is done and the attack is running, mitigation is running, and traffic need to go back to the servers of the members. And how is the redirect done? Well, with our members, we have a BGP session on the clean side on the private VLAN. A customer can redirect a specific prefix or /24 by advertising the prefix on the NaWas BGP session. And NaWas advertises the prefix on our upstreams, transits and peering both. So the trigger for redirection is done by the member. It's the manual, in this is manual automated is a choice done by the member. It also depends on the size of the traffic, the type of the attack. And some members have their own NOC facility, so it's definitely up to the type of the member and their way of handling.
Yeah, I think that's very important to a question which we get. As a member, especially as an ISP, you're always in control what's happening. We also, maybe to add on to that, we also have this question like we have members like big companies in the Netherlands who already have a scrubbing center. They already have a set up facilities in their own infrastructure. And then they say, but I already have something, but they contact us because they use us as redundant continuity services in their own infrastructure. That means they're able to detect and even scrub and mitigate until a certain size or a certain complexity. And once they get into something bigger or more difficult, they are still able to redirect through the NaWas. So we're working together even with the ISPs or the enterprises that have their own infrastructure and already have their own mitigation tools. That's why we're saying we're never like in competition. We're always adding something into the solutions that are out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we are talking to some financials right now who want to use NaWas like failover solution. They have their own scripting devices and still, well, they need a failover, and then NaWas can help them immediately out.
Yes.
So
yes.
This is exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and there are many more questions, deep technical as well, but this is not the place at the moment to go there. If you have more technical questions, and of course you have, well, put them in the chat or send an email, and we can build content on this, and next time ask our CTO or other technical guys from support to show this, to draw some graphs, and to explain how it really works. By the way, on our website is our service, a description of our services is available, and all those graphics and flowcharts, how it works, are in there. So if you want to download, to check it, feel free to do.
Yes. Yeah, I think, talking about that's we're coming a bit to the last part. And it's nice because we already had it prepared, this question, and it's coming from the audience as well. Like, do we have any detection as a service provided? And that's a good question. That's what Frank always already stepped on, that we're doing a pilot with a detection as a service, in which we're trying to we're working out into that project right as we speak, and we will be coming up with this with a solution on this size, because we see that this is one of the parts the most questions are about this. What do I do about detection? How I know for sure that I detect the right side, the right way? And so what we're setting up is this project in which we are choosing the right tooling, but also we're choosing which is the best way we can provide support for you guys if you want to use it. It's like just as a service, call us and just put a check somewhere, and then you can install it. At this moment, we're thinking about also provide a bit of an advice and consultancy on the spot or remote to be able to set it up, and then you're ready to go. So yeah, that's the good news. I wanted to mention that, and it's an answer. I hope it's an answer to your question. We will be communicating openly once we have it done, and it's not a matter of months ahead, but we're really trying to get the speed up on this. I'll just go right back to the other question we came from the audience, which is if we do something, if the NBIP is interacting with law enforcement regarding the attacks and which we were talking about earlier, and the answer is yes, we do. I know, and we know, and I think it's the same problem everywhere. Officially, if you have to if you have one of these problems, so you're going to the police, you have to go into your regional police office, which is a local station. And I know it's a headache. We know that, because you're getting there and people don't know what you're talking about. We're talking about DDoS. What do you mean? It's a technical thing. I want to step on that way in this. We're actually actively talking to the law enforcement, and especially through the coalition, which I mentioned before. They're actively part of it in trying to get this process done more easily. We're in contact with Team High Tech Crime, and they have done big steps in the Netherlands to organize themselves and give a mandate to a certain region. And they are clustering people in which they actually have specialists who know what you're talking about if you start talking to them. And what we're working towards is to come to a an ungroup melding, like talking to them from not only for every member itself, but just sharing our knowledge as a group. So you guys don't have to do that, and they can go further in their own process. Yeah, so we're working. That's another thing we're working on that as we speak. And we will, if you'll keep up with us on our emailing list, we will keep you informed about the steps we're taking on that. So yeah, that was another question.
Okay. Well, I think we are running out of time. We promised to not exceed 30 minutes. We're already 5 minutes because of questions. So thank you very much for the attendance. And again, if you have questions, send them by email to bureau@nbip.nl or in the chat or other ways, and we try to answer them in the next few days. So thank you very much for joining, and speak to you soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.